Hey everybody, I thought I'd do a little video here on my Atari 7800 Pro system. Reason for this video is VectrexRoli did a nice video about a new programmable flashcart for the 7800. Now I've been waiting, a lot of people have been waiting for years and years and years for the makers of the Harmony cartridge to come out with their version of a flashcart. I know they've had a lot of issues with it. They had some working prototypes they sold maybe earlier this year, but it's still not ready available. I'll put a link below to where you can buy very shortly a 7800 flash cart from the gentleman who makes flash carts for the Vectrex, the Atari Lynx, Odyssey 2, and so forth. VectrexRoli, I'll put a link for his video in there as well. He did a really good video on the #1 unit made that was sent to him for testing purposes. So why am I showing this video right now? Well, the Atari 7800 was a great system. It played advanced games for the 7800, and it played games for the Atari 2600. Now, this was the controller, at least in the United States, we got. This controller here, it's not a bad controller. I seem to like it. It's a digital 8-way joystick, and it's got a button on each side. Now, when you're playing 7800 games, this is treated as one button. This is treated as button 2, so you have 2 fire buttons. But when you plug an Atari 2600 game in, this is button 1, and this is still button 1. So there's actually some resistors in here that they did to make sure this was compatible with the 2600s. If you're playing an older game from the 2600, you can be lefty or righty and have a fire button on each side. But when a 7800 game is put in place, it treats them as 2 separate buttons. So again, this joystick was what we got in the States. I know they got Joypads in Europe, and this is okay. But honestly, in long plays of like Asteroids or Xevious, this is going to cramp your hands up relatively good, and it gets painful after a while. But for short spurts, it's not too bad. So what a lot of people do is they'll plug in, because a lot of games still use just one button, they'll plug in a regular Atari joystick, and the 7800 works fine with it, especially if it plays 2600 games. But certain games, just if they need one button, like Galaga or so forth, this is fine, and it works. It's the tried and true Atari joystick. So you're trying to find other ways to control your system. Now, I used to use this. This is a Sega Master System pad, and you're like, holy crap, look at that. It's got 2 buttons on it, you got a Joypad, plug this in, it should work great. Well, almost. The Joypad does work, and it works really well on the 7800, and button 1 works great as the fire button, but when you press button 2, it acts just like button 1. The reason being, these are direct pinouts. There's no special resistors in here to tell it when you're pressing this to give a different reading to the 7800, so it treats these 2 buttons as if it was just a regular Atari 2600 controller. Doesn't ruin the system, doesn't break it, and again, the Joypad makes it a lot easier to use, but again, you can't use it for special games to use independent buttons on it. So even though I did use this, it still was not the right type of controller. Now this bad boy here was something I had made when I got my Asteroids game on my 7800. I built this myself from Radio Shack, just a parts box with regular push buttons, but I made it so you could put here, you turn your left and right, and over here you got your thrust and fire buttons and hyperspace. So for Space Invaders, games like that, Asteroids, this game, this joystick, oh my god, it was fantastic. I've been playing for hours, literally to the point where my eyes couldn't see anymore. But again, this doesn't have any special resistors in it, so it only works with 1 fire button on it, which is okay for games like Asteroids. It works really fine for that. But, Glen, get to the point of the video. Okay, we'll get to that right now. Here we have a nice Nintendo Joypad. And Glen, why are you showing me this for an Atari game system? Well, this is not your ordinary NES control pad. If you look at the connector here, it's been modified. It's got a DB9 on it. And there's been some special stuff done to this particular controller. You do have the directional pad on your joystick, so you have your same controller you have with the joystick. You have the button 1, and there is special resistors in here where you have 2 fire buttons, button 1, button 2, and this will work as 2 independent buttons on your Atari 7800 Pro system. But wait, there's more. If you look really close here, there's actually an LED in here, and it's got 2 different colors. Now, the select button here, when you press this once, this will flash, showing you're now in a turbo fire mode. You press it again, you're in an advanced turbo fire mode. Press it again, you're back with no auto fire. this button, when you press it, will turn the LED blue. And so this button here is turbo for B, and this one here, which is blue, is your turbo for A. And the same thing, press it once, you get turbo, twice, faster turbo, third time back to normal. So I got myself 2 of these little guys for my 7800 Pro system, and they were very inexpensive. I got both of these controllers here for $38 shipped, and I'll get a link down below as well if you want to use these. And I'm going to show you gameplay in just 1 second. They're a little sensitive, especially when you're used to the old Atari joysticks, but they do work, and I tell you, they really are worth it. So let's get a little gameplay going and see how they work. Now, one of my favorite games on the 7800, other than my Atariage, which is one of my favorite versions other than the arcade version, I love this game, is Xevious. And Xevious, if you use a regular Atari joystick or a Sega gamepad, when you press the fire button, it shoots your guns and drops your bomb at the same time. You don't have independent 1 and 2 like you do with the regular joystick. But now with this pad, you do. So let's put in some Xevious here and see how this game works. All right, let's fire this little guy up. Now, when you turn the power on here, here's our gamepad, right? And when you press this, see that flash? That means he's now set to turbo mode. Now it's in advanced turbo mode. And actually, I'm sorry, it's 3, so it's advanced turbo mode. And then when you press it a 4th time, it turned it off. When you press this one, you're in turbo, advanced turbo, really advanced turbo, and back off. So let's see how the game actually works with this joystick. Okay, we have the Xevious game going. We have our Nintendo style gamepad right here. Let's fire up the game. And the sound is not that good on these machines, you know, but we have our direction pad, obviously, which is going to control the ship. Try and not get on the screen there. And we have the shot. Now you can see shooting and then bombs. So we have 2 independent buttons on here. Now I'm going to press the turbo on, and it's going to auto fire for me, and it works pretty well. And you know, I apologize, it's kind of hard to do one-handed, but let's see how we can do this here. Not so good. So I'll press the B button, or actually it's the A button, I get my bombs. And when I press the B button, I get my shooting. So, it's hard to do what I'm doing right now. I don't have a very good setup yet for doing these videos. But, again, $38 for 2 pads that has auto fire on both with an LED that tells you which ones are on. And, you know, the European pads could cost you that much for a single one. And they don't have auto fire. So, I mean, this pad, although it doesn't look like an Atari pad, it's a Nintendo pad. I've seen people put Atari logos on it. But it works really well. It's not expensive. The guy does really nice work. Now, these are not original Nintendo pads. I know that they are aftermarket pads. But it works well enough. I can recommend it for sure. I hope you guys go on to Atariage. He makes batches. This was one of the last batches he made, but I know he's planning on making more. And again, I'll have a link down below. So if you do have an Atari 7800, and like me, you're waiting for the flashcart to come out, which again, I'll put a link down below for the one VectrexRoli has in his possession right now. This pad really does work well. It's nice. The guy does nice work, and it doesn't do it expensive. It's really worth the $38 for 2 pads. I think it was like $18 for one, and that includes shipping. So, you know, he's not ripping anyone off. It's really nice. It works really well, and I hope you guys do like this video. And if you do, please like it and subscribe. I'll have more videos to come. And thanks, and game on, everyone.